Right now, while you're watching this video, there are more aircraft crossing the Atlantic than at any point during the afternoon, and almost none of them are carrying passengers. You've probably never thought about that. The sky you don't see, the one at 3 a.m., is one of the busiest places on Earth, and it runs that way on purpose. What looks like a scheduling quirk is actually one of the most carefully engineered systems in modern transportation. Not built around where people want to go, built around when the math works. Why does the Atlantic matter? That flight from Chicago to London isn't just a long trip over water. The moment that plane crosses the coastline, it enters a completely different world. Over land, controllers watch every plane in real time, like a traffic cop who never blinks. Over the Atlantic, all of that disappears. No radar, no constant contact. Just hundreds of aircraft staying separated by position reports and agreed-upon rules. So the system doesn't try to control traffic as it moves. It builds the structure before anyone takes off. Every plane gets assigned to one of a set of invisible corridors, the organized track system. Not a highway where anyone can change lanes. A one-way street that flips direction every 12 hours. Eastbound at night, westbound during the day. That rule didn't come from clever planning. It came from fear. In the 1960s, transatlantic flights multiplied fast and radar couldn't keep up. Near misses started happening. The one-way system wasn't an optimization. It was built to stop planes from flying head-on into each other. It worked, and aviation never let go of it. That single rule is the foundation everything else is built on. How do night winds help? Miles above your head, there are massive rivers of wind circling the planet from west to east. Jet streams. They're fast enough to push a plane's ground speed up by more than 150 miles per hour. Not from the engines working harder, but from the air itself moving, with the planes sitting inside it. Flying east at night means catching those rivers at their calmest. During the day, the sun bakes the ground, and all that heat rises unevenly into the sky. The same wavy shimmer you've seen above hot pavement in summer, but happening at every altitude all the way up to cruising height. The jet streams are still there, but their paths keep shifting, like a river that can't decide where it wants to go. Once the sun sets, the heating stops and the atmosphere settles. Those wind rivers straighten out and become easy to lock onto. The winds aren't stronger at night. They're just more usable. So a plane heading east at night gets two things at once. It's flying in the correct direction of the one-way track system, and it's riding the smoothest version of the jet stream available. That saves real time and real fuel, but even this isn't the biggest reason. Why do planes fly at night? But wind and routing aren't even the real reason. The real reason is money. A plane sitting on the ground earns nothing. The moment it stops moving, it's costing the airline instead of making money. So the goal isn't just to reach London, it's to land early enough to fly again the same day. Leave New York at 9 p.m, land in London at 9 a.m. Clean it, restock it, and it's back in the air by noon. One plane, two flights, one day. That's how airlines make the math work. Now flip it. Fly during the day, land at night. Suddenly you have a problem. London, Paris, Frankfurt, all of them have strict nighttime curfews, left over from noise complaints dating back to the 1970s. The plane lands, can't turn around, and sits there until morning. One schedule change, and an entire day of revenue disappears. There's a second problem too. If every transatlantic flight arrived in Europe during the afternoon, they'd all hit the same congested window as short-haul traffic across the continent. Planes would be circling above airports, burning fuel, waiting for a runway slot that keeps getting pushed back. Night arrivals fix both problems at once. The plane lands early enough to fly again, and it arrives when the skies are clear. The night flight you slept through wasn't for you, it was for the machine. How does cargo sync work? Passenger aviation uses the night. Cargo aviation can't survive without it. Here's what actually happens to your package. You order something in the afternoon. By evening, it's been picked up and is heading toward a hub. Memphis, Louisville, Indianapolis. These aren't random cities. They sit at the geographic center of the country, so planes can reach almost anywhere within a few hours in either direction. Late at night, aircraft from dozens of cities all land at those hubs within the same 2-hour window. Everything gets unloaded at once. Thousands of packages get sorted in the dark and loaded onto outbound planes already fueled and waiting. By 3 a.m., those planes are gone. By 6 a.m., your package is on a truck 40 miles from your door. Now remove the night. Same planes, same routes, just move to daytime. The whole thing falls apart. Planes arrive at scattered times. Sorting facilities get backed up. Trucks hit morning traffic. A package that traveled 800 miles overnight now takes 2 days. Not because anything got slower, but because the timing no longer lines up. That's the part most people miss. The speed of your delivery has almost nothing to do with how fast the plane flies. It's about how precisely every handoff in the chain is timed. The plane is just one piece. The night's what holds all the pieces together. The plane didn't get faster, the clock did. So now you know why the night exists in aviation. Not for passengers, but for the system. But here's what that system runs on. Aircraft that should have been retired decades ago. And the reason they're still flying is stranger than you'd expect. Why do old planes keep flying? You probably think a 25-year-old plane is an old plane, but that's not how aviation measures age. The number that actually matters is cycles. One cycle is one takeoff and one landing. Every time a plane climbs, the cabin gets pressurized and the fuselage pushes slightly outward. Every time it lands, that pressure releases and the fuselage pulls back in. Over thousands of flights, the metal is constantly expanding and contracting, not just carrying weight, but breathing. And metal that breathes eventually wears out. A plane flying 4 short domestic hops a day racks up 4 cycles. A plane flying 1 long overnight route racks up 1. Both log the same hours in the air, but one has aged 4 times faster in the way that actually counts. A 20-year-old passenger jet on a busy domestic route might have 70,000 cycles. A cargo plane the same age doing long hauls might have 20,000. Same birthday, completely different bodies. That's why a plane can be too old for passengers and still have decades of flying left in it. What makes cargo planes last? But there's a second reason those planes keep flying, and it has nothing to do with metal fatigue. Passenger airlines are obsessed with image. The moment a newer, quieter plane enters service, the older ones start looking dated. Travelers notice, competitors notice. So airlines phase out perfectly functional aircraft constantly. Not because they stopped working, but because keeping them feels like falling behind. Cargo doesn't have that problem. The box doesn't care what plane it's on. It doesn't care about legroom or engine noise. The only metric that matters is how much it costs to move 1 pound of freight from city to city. And a plane that's already been fully paid off has a massive advantage over a brand new one still being financed. Even if it burns more fuel, because fuel cost and financing cost sit on the same spreadsheet and get compared directly. That's exactly what happened with the MD-11. 3 engines, thirstier than modern designs, gradually phased out of passenger fleets through the 1990s and 2000s. Should have been the end. Instead, FedEx and UPS absorbed most of them. The fuel burn that made airlines walk away became perfectly acceptable with 0 purchase debt and 40 tons of cargo space per flight. So today you can find a plane that carried families across the Pacific in 1993 on a freight run between Anchorage and Shanghai tonight. Not a museum piece, a working machine that still earns its place. That package moving through a hub in the dark right now might be on a plane older than your car. It reaches you the next day because someone decades ago figured out the right timing. And the aircraft built for that timing still hasn't worn out. If there's something you walk past every day and wonder about, drop it in the comments. We read every single one, and the best suggestions make it into future videos. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.